boxing is historically never attracted the premium sponsorship. Like, I don't know, you get tennis and it's got all these mad sponsorships like Volvo and Schweppes and stuff like that. Boxing never attracted that kind of sponsorship. It's just a different breed, it's a different class of audience. And we've always struggled, especially because our sport is so direct. But once you get into it, once you've got the bug, then you get it, then you understand it. So when you get raucous press conferences like today, it's just bordering on, I'm trying to give you an example. If you're in a supermarket and you see a couple arguing, you know it's rude to stand and watch, so you do it like that. This is one of those where you think, and you can't help it. You just can't help it. So even people that are watching this thinking, I've got to hate boxing, you're going to stop and watch. It's going to grab your attention. Now, the difference between boxing and football or any other sport is you can't play boxing. You can't put this on. This is for real. And it's just an honour. It's an unwritten code in boxing. You don't play this. You don't do this for the cameras, because it's a sport where it's about pride. So a lot of things that were said, a lot of things that bubbled over in this press conference that we've just seen, are frustrations from things that have happened behind the scenes, frustrations of desperation, anger, and there's so many stories that can be told that the public don't know about, that can fill the cracks. Certain things were said in that press conference where you'd be listening thinking, well, what's that on about? What are you on about there? That's stuff that's happening behind the scenes, when in private. This stuff that Tony Bellew said, that David Haye said. You know, there's meaning behind a lot of it, but they can't actually really go into it. I think these things will leak out as it gets closer to the fight. But let's put it this way: this fight is not until March 2017. We're in November 2016. Look at the hype. Look at the noise in preparation for this fight. I think this will be one of the biggest fight of 2017, and I think this fight could be one of those that could have either been put in a bigger arena, when I think, damn, we should have done this. We should have put it in a big arena, because it could have sold over 4 or 5 times over. When you look at boxing today, it's hitting the front and the back pages of all the newspapers. Boxing today in the world, every fighter wants to be here in the UK involved in boxing. Regardless of all the promoters we've had in the past, boxing has never been so popular. Boxing has never been so hyped. Boxing has never been so craved here in the UK, more than any other time. So whatever formula Eddie is creating, being the Eddie Hearn show, making sure he's involved in the fights and in the promotion, it's working. So like it or not, even if you're not into that style, it's working. It's making our fight game here in the UK one of the most sought after. You'll speak to most of the Eastern European fighters, you'll speak to most of the Americans, they want to come here to the UK or be involved here because the fights are being put on. It's show business, and that's what it is. So, and Eddie's a young guy, you know, and he's approachable. He likes to get involved, you know. I like that. I get it. I like it. Some people don't like it, but you know what? It works. And Eddie's no baby. So when David turned on Eddie to out him, Eddie gave it some back, you know, to say, yeah, all right, say what you want. I don't mind. Because a lot of promoters, they want to be up there in the good times and shout and look, I produced this fight, I put this on, I put that on. But when it comes to getting the criticism, you're getting a solicitor's letter. You're getting abused. They don't like the criticism. So therefore, you can't have the good and not have the bad. Eddie's prepared to stand up there and say, "Come on, give me the good and give me the bad." If I'm standing up to be shot at, you know, I'll put myself in that position. I like that. I like that. If you love or loathe Eddie Hearn, I like what he's doing, because he's making our sport even more interesting, more intriguing. He's giving us fights, giving not just fight fans fights, the general public fights that we have never seen before. He's filling out stadiums like Wembley Arena and getting 80,000 people there. Has that happened in the modern era? No, it hasn't. And that's because of the whatever formula Eddie has got in his head, it's working. And he's put boxing in a position where you're intrigued and you think, oh my God, you know, this is, to me it works. So I get David's frustration because David himself is a promoter. David has his own agenda. David is kind of a rival because he's got his own promotion company, and Eddie seems to be the boy with all the toys in his park. And so I can understand the frustration. I'm quite sure other promoters are probably envious and frustrated at Eddie's success. But that's just how it is. That's the game we're in. It's a compelling fight because it's got everybody curious. Because at first, when this fight was muted, when Tony Bellew kicked off in the ring, when David was doing his commentary, everybody said Tony's just a mouthpiece. He's crazy. He's silly. He's going to get slaughtered. It's never going to happen. Next minute, it's announced that the fight is going to happen. Everybody's thinking, "Are you mad? Are you crazy? David Haye's a heavyweight. Tony Bellew, you're a mouthy scouser that's just come on the scene. What are you going to do? Are you silly?" So people are looking at that because they're looking at David Haye from 5, 6, 7 years ago, as a heavyweight, beating these guys. They're looking at his track record as a unified cruiserweight champion, and then they look at Tony Bellew coming on the scene, and they're thinking you're going to get absolutely slaughtered. So it's got intrigue. It's got people thinking, "Wow, no way," and most people are thinking Tony Bellew's going to get absolutely blasted out of the water, and so that's the intrigue. What transpires is this: fight night comes. Remember. What you're thinking of David Haye, you're thinking of the David Haye before he went into exile and kind of retired for a while through injury and whatever. You're thinking of that David Haye. Like I did it with Manny Pacquiao against Floyd Mayweather. I thought an old Manny Pacquiao would give today's Floyd Mayweather hellfire. But that wasn't the case. That old Manny Pacquiao was years ago. That was yesteryear. David Haye has got to find the form of the old David Haye. The David Haye that was before he was injured, before when he was on top form. David Haye is now 36 years old, rightfully so. He's not produced a performance over the last 5, 6 years that you think, wow, that's unbelievable. And so, and he's been off. He's had injury. He's been in a situation. So I get that. So this fight is a lot more even than what people figure out, what people see. It's a case of who lands first. I don't think the weight is an issue. Seriously, I don't, because these guys are both about the same height and size. I think David will come in actually very light. And the lighter he comes in, the better the fight's going to be for David, because he's working on speed, being cunning, being crafty, pinpoint accuracy. Whereas what Tony's got to do, he's got to do what he did today in the press conference, which is get under David's skin, get him emotionally invested, emotionally charged. So he doesn't think tactics. He doesn't think, I'll jab the first round, I'll throw a left, right the second round, I'll hit him to the body the third round. He thinks, I just want to kill you. I just want to smash you. If you're in an argument and you're really angry, you're tripping over your words, you're slavering, you're spitting, you're stuttering because your brain's not working in order. You're just not, you can't get everything in order. You're not being calm and calculated like we usually see David. And that's why in that press conference today, I thought that's the first time I've seen David emotionally charged, emotionally rattled, that much emotion when it comes to this point of a fight. These guys haven't even started training for this fight yet. So you can't say they're hungry or they've been starving themselves or they're tired because they train all the time. These guys, they're now in it. Now, Tony Bellew is very good at creating calm out of chaos. Getting under your skin, getting in your face, getting you angry. And he's, we've seen him do it time and time before and gone on and beat the opponent because he's got you to dance his dance. He's got you to sing his tune. But that's exactly what he did there with David Haye. Because even David's people were like, David's been, whoa, what's going on here? And that to me was a big, if you're looking on points and it's tennis, it's 15-love to Tony Bellew. Because David, and I bet you anything, David's gone back and think, damn, I shouldn't have bit. And the next time they meet, the same thing will happen again. I think, damn, I shouldn't have bit. And he'll try so hard to be cool. And how I would play, if I was Tony, I'd do exactly what I did there. Get him angry, get him upset, get him into that argument, get him to start shouting and mouthing off, get him angry so he can't think straight. If I was David, I would try my hardest to be so cool and don't let Tony mouth off and say what he wants to say, yeah, all right, whatever. And ignore whatever he says, no matter how personal it gets. That's how I would play it. And I think this is going to be a battle of mind games before. And it's a case of who lands first can march to fourth. And whoever lands first, the fight's over. I think if Tony lands first, it's not going to be one shot that does David. If David lands first, it's going to be one shot. that does Tony. Conor McGregor has now understands his value. We've seen it in boxing where fighters don't care about the belt. All of a sudden you're going to want to see the fighters. Conor McGregor now knows if they strip him of the belt and they say the belt is vacant and two fighters are fighting for it, doesn't matter who they are, at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, or Conor McGregor's on just down the road in Las Vegas and he's fighting Joe Bloggs, who are you going to watch? Are you going to watch the belt to see who wins the belt? Are you going to go watch Conor McGregor? Conor McGregor is now bigger than the belt, and he understands that, and the promoters hate that. He is now a threat to the TV and the promoters because he's now bigger than the belt. You ask anybody, even if you're not into UFC, name one fighter, and they'll say Conor McGregor. He is now bigger than the belt, so he understands exactly what he's doing. He understands his value, and it's not happened overnight. He's had to put himself in a position where people hate him, people love him. He's lost, he's come back, he's mouthed if he's had to back his bolts up. He is bigger than the belt. So he knows he can afford to do this. He knows the people are going to follow him rather than follow the belts. And that's why you can't knock him. Because as you say, it's show business. But the thing is, he's the show and he is now the business. Whereas the business took over the show. The promoters never really made more than the fighters. Now, he's the show and the business. And it's about him. You'll follow him.